Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and this video is sponsored by DistroKid. DistroKid makes it easy and affordable to be prolific as you want when it comes to releasing your music on the internet. For just $19.99 a year, you can release basically unlimited music to iTunes, Napster, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music if you if you're so inclined to do so. TikTok, Instagram, stories, and more. It's really cool. My band Sunday Crush released all of their music digitally through DistroKid, although we rely on our label to do physical things, so like record stores and stuff like that. But that's neither here nor there, other than the fact that they are the wonderful sponsors of this video. I will now get to it. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've been asked to talk about, and that is PROs, or performing rights organizations. So this is mostly applicable to songwriters, pretty much exclusively applicable to songwriters. So if you're in a band and you write songs in that band, even if you're not the principal songwriter, you should be affiliated with a PRO, and that's what that's called. So I'm just for anyone who's not in the United States who's talking, I think a lot of this will probably be applicable to people in other countries with one major difference. That difference is that the United States has more than one performing rights organization, and I think we are one of the only, if not the only country in the world that has options for your performing rights organizations, because I assume capitalism, but I don't really know. In the United States, there are 3 performing rights organizations: ASCAP, BMI, and SAC, and they all essentially do the same thing. What they do is they collect money from venues and radio stations, and they pay out that money to their songwriters, their affiliates. I'm currently an affiliate with the PRO SAC, although I will be moving my talents to BMI, and I'll get into that later. That's not important right now. So let's talk about licenses. Let's talk about how PROs pay money to their affiliates. If you own a business that plays music publicly, either a musical venue like the Connor Byrne Bar and Pub in Seattle, or a restaurant that plays music over the sound system in Mason, Ohio, or a radio station in Nashville, Tennessee, you have to buy a license to legally play music either over your sound system or over your airwaves. So, and the cost of this license depends for restaurants and venues on your square footage for the most part. Radio stations, I'm not quite so sure. But you need to have in the United States a license, a blanket license they call it. A blanket license means it covers everything in the catalog. Every single affiliation that any of these PROs have. But you need to buy one from all 3, and that's legally necessary to legally play music to your restaurant patrons, within a venue, or to the people listening on the airwaves. And the reason this is because some of these PROs are bigger than others. ASCAP and BMI are bigger than SAC, for example, and that's SAC's own damn fault. Because reasons I'll get into later. I want to stay on topic. So you're a restaurant, you have to buy a blanket license for all 3 of these PROs, and then you can legally play music in your venue. And yes, these affiliates do have employees in cities in every state, and yes, they do go to restaurants and make sure they're paying their blanket licenses, or you get fined. They do that. Is it kind of lame and tattletale-y? Yes, but you know what? It kind of is a terrible thing to not pay musicians. So, I mean, I'm biased. Business owners probably hate it. I love it, even though I make literally no money from that. So, let's talk about how the money gets doled out. We now know how PROs collect money. Licenses, blanket licenses that they sell to any place that has a live performance. And there's lots of intricacies in that. We'll just keep it overall. These are the venues. So, how do these PROs decide which songwriters get how much money? And there is a host of like things that they consider when they're deciding how much money to dole out to their songwriters. They look at, for example, charts. So if you're charting well, you're probably getting played on the radio more. So you're probably getting more money. That's cool. The other way is they look at playlists from radio stations. That's kind of a big one. So radio stations submit their playlist to ASCAP, BMI, and SAC, or ASCAP, BMI, and SAC. Look at like the internet stuff to see who's being played. And the thing about that is it's not 100% accurate, right? Like sometimes something ends up on a playlist ahead of time for a radio station and they just like don't play it because time, they have to cut some songs, so it's not fully accurate. And the other way that they will deny that they do this, but they definitely still do this, they literally have people listening to tapes from radio stations and writing down what songs get played. They also have some digital listening techniques, not dissimilar to what YouTube uses to determine if you're using someone else's song illegally within videos that you publish. Facebook does the same thing. The problem with this, and you might not know this as a radio listener, radio stations often very slightly speed up the songs that they play so they can fit more songs in. And this will completely screw with the technology that PROs use to select their money. So the bottom line is, if you're getting radio play at all, you might be able to make money with a PRO. And that amount of money varies. I've made very small checks with my PROs. Most of my money from PROs. So my current affiliate is SAC. Another way SAC and BMI, I'm not sure about ASCAP, but I don't think they have this yet, pay writers, is this I think is the coolest thing about being part of a PRO like BMI or SAC, is that if you go to a venue and you play your own music, you submit it to SAC or BMI, you tell them the size of the venue, the name of the venue, the date, and the songs that you play that are yours and anyone else's. They take that information and they pay you. If I play Connor Byrne in Ballard, I get like between 50 cents and $1 for every song of mine that I perform. It does not matter how many tickets I sold for that show. It does not matter how many people attended that show. All that matters is the capacity of the venue. So if you're a touring artist, you play live shows, you play songs that you write, you need to get on BMI probably. And so you can get paid for doing your own stuff. You also get paid, of course, if you have synchronizations in TV shows, in movies. There's a public performance aspect of that, as well as a synchronization license to that. So the synchronization license is separate from the public performance. We're only talking about the public performance. Other weird things that are part of the public performance license are ringback tones. Because do you remember what ringback tones are? Not a lot of people have them anymore because they're kind of silly. But it used to be you could call somebody and that person could set up a song that would be played to you while you were waiting for them to pick up the phone. So ringback tones and ringtones are considered public performances because it shoots the music into the public. Isn't that kind of funny? And dated, but whatever. Let's talk about the 3 PROs a little bit. Kind of broadly. ASCAP was the first American PRO. It was created by songwriters. Dope, cool, love that. BMI is the second. The B in BMI stands for broadcaster. So broadcasters created that PRO. And then finally there is SAC, which I don't think stands for anything anymore, much like SATs don't really stand for anything anymore. SAC is famously the only PRO in the United States that is a private for-profit organization. ASCAP and BMI are non-profits. And to get affiliated with SAC, like I have been for the past 6 or 7 years, you need an invitation. That means, or that used to mean, that you had to have one of their reps vouch for you. So my husband was a SAC affiliate before I was. We were then just dating. I had an EP I released called Elephant Angelfish. He sent it to his rep at SAC. She liked it. She had faith in me as a songwriter, and she signed me. And I asked, well, does SAC ever drop writers? And at the time she said, no, they don't. To be dropped by a PRO, which is technically for them to opt out of renewing your affiliation, is really rare, or used to be. So SAC has actually made some changes. Now to even become a new affiliate with SAC requires revenue minimums. So they have to think you're going to make a specific amount of money for them that they can then dish out to you. Again, they are a for-profit organization. That's their prerogative. They continue to sign enormous songwriters like Bob Dylan and Adele and David Crosby. And then lately, this year, they've been dropping people. They've dropped friends of mine who have had huge, enormous sinks in big network TV shows. And they dropped me. I really don't know what their prerogative there is, but to be dropping songwriters in our year of 2020 is really, really disgusting. I think it's pretty gross. Again, their prerogative. That's fine. I'm going to now sign with BMI. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in my ass, but, it doesn't really matter because I wasn't really making a lot of money with that anyway. But for other people that they're currently forcing to opt out, which is, again, unheard of in general, and really I think a terrible thing to do to songwriters and musicians in 2020, what can you do? I probably would have made a lot more money for them if I'd been able to tour this year, but I haven't. So I didn't. Whatever. But yeah, so the other PROs, BMI and SAC, you just sign up. That's easy. It's that easy. It's just you sign up, read the contracts. When I reaffiliate, I will be reaffiliating with BMI because they have the same public performance submission system. You might be wondering which PRO pays the best. It's probably SAC, but I think the difference for most songwriters of any level who will be watching this video is the answer is it probably doesn't really matter. So that's fine. All right, let's get into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is the parts of your publishing. So this is actually done to protect songwriters and does a very good job with that. When you affiliate with a PRO as an independent songwriter, and by that I mean you do not already have an agreement with a publishing company to handle the publishing of your songs. So, though, if you have a publisher, like if you're signed to Bug Music or Sony, it's not Sony BMG, it's Sony Publishing probably now, or anything like that. This doesn't really apply to you super duper a lot because your publisher already has explained this to you. But when you write a song and you submit it to your PRO, it's broken into two parts. So if you are the sole songwriter on a song, you do own 100% of that song. But the way you need to affiliate yourself within a PRO is in two parts, split right down the middle, 50-50. You don't often negotiate this any other way than 50-50. There's the writer's share and there's the publisher share. And this does a great job at protecting writers, because otherwise publishers could get greedy, and I'm sure they have in the past before this was how it worked, and take all of your publishing. If you've read a book about music business, one of the first things they tell you is do not sell your publishing, and they just tell you that you shouldn't, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't sell your publishing if you're a new songwriter. You shouldn't sell your songwriting unless you really, really, really need the money. And that's how I feel about it. So if you're young, you might feel like you really, really need the money, but I promise you, you don't need to do this and you shouldn't do this. So never, while you're still getting started, don't sell your publishing. So your PRO, it's in two parts. These are the two parts: the songwriter and the publisher. And when you register for, let's say BMI, it's free to register the songwriter half, and it costs money to register the publisher half. That's fine. Just pay the $125 or whatever one-time fee and have it done with. I know that sounds like a lot of money, and it is for a lot of songwriters, but you should register both so you can get paid. So the songwriter half and the publisher half, you pick your publisher name, minus historical fiction, whatever. And you submit your songs, and then half goes to the songwriter, and half goes to the publisher. If you have a publisher, they take that half, they deal with it, they take the money from it. If you're doing everything, you do get both halves, so don't fret about it too much. Don't stress about it. It's just something you need to do. And this video is not going to get in-depth enough for that to matter. I'm not going to explain the intricacies because I don't fully understand them either. But that every single publisher is going to make you register twice. This is normal. This is fine. You need to do it. It's going to be okay. I promise. So that's kind of the gist of it. Those are the kind of the most asked questions, the most weird things. I recently guided my bandmates through the whole publisher thing, which is cool. So those are a lot of questions that they had for me about PROs. But if you anticipate playing live a lot, if you anticipate maybe getting some radio play, then you should sign up for a PRO. Basically, as soon as you release music into the world, you should sign up for a PRO. So then when you sign up for a PRO, what you do is you register your songs. That includes who you wrote the song with, the title of the song. You can upload an MP3 of the song, which I highly recommend. It's not the same as copywriting your song, so don't get that twisted. You still need to copyright your music, and don't let it. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into one more thing. There's this real silly kind of urban legend that I kind of want to refer to as an urban legend, that there's something called a poor man's copyright, and what that entails is mailing yourself your music via certified mail. If someone steals your music, then that's proof that you came up with it first. That sounds great, but the fact of the matter is it's bad advice. You should just, I'm sorry, you gotta bite the bullet. You can't be pinching pennies when you're trying to protect your own music or your own art or your own creations. This is not the time to pinch pennies. This is not the time at all. If you have concerns that maybe somebody's going to steal your music, you need to submit it to the Copyright Office of the United States. Is it easy? No. Is it cheap? Not really. But is it worth it if someone actually does steal your music? And the answer is yes. Yes. Because even if you have that certified mail that shows that you came up with it first, do you know what you're not entitled to if you don't register your copyright? Damages. That means you can't sue the person who stole from you for damages. You can't make them pay you money as well. Again, not a lawyer, but you need to register, and you can actually register your copyright after someone steals your stuff. If you can prove it, you can prove it. That's great. And some people do that. But for the friggin' peace of mind, register your copyrights. Please. You work so hard on your music. This is what gives you fire. This is yours. You don't want someone to steal it, then you need to register your copyright. Having a PRO is not quite the same. Having a PRO is how you get paid for the music that you own. Having a copyright is what protects you from infringement. And that's infringement is when someone steals your music. Yeah, your songwriting. So I know this isn't like our normal kind of video, but just for some background, because I'm sure you're sitting there wondering, what the hell does this woman know about any of this kind of stuff? Like, what gives her the right to talk to me about music business stuff? And I can tell you, I have a bachelor's degree in music business from one of the top music business schools in the country, Belmont University. I think maybe only NYU has a better music business program. So, I mean, I studied this. I've interned at publishing companies. I've worked in music basically since college and in various capacities. I have a band. I've been affiliated with a PRO since I was 21, and I'm a songwriter. So, I mean, I've been through some ringers on this, not as many as a lot of people. Well, yeah, a lot of people. But I just have a little bit of information about PROs as someone who's been affiliated for a long time. And I just wanted to answer some questions that friends and followers have had about PROs. So was this a comprehensive look at PROs? No. Now let me see if I have a book. I recommend this book more than any other book. This is the Donald Passman book, All You Need to Know About the Music Business. This was literally my textbook in college, a previous version of it. I really recommend buying this book. And I'm not even going to link to it on Amazon because I don't want you to necessarily buy it through Amazon. So I'm not an Amazon affiliate either, so that's fine. That's totally fine. But Simon and Schuster published this. And this has, this basically will kind of answer almost every question you have. This is the most recent version of it. It's the 10th edition. I think it came out last year or earlier this year. And it will be if you're a musician, songwriter, among the smartest $35 you might ever spend. So check it out, read it, cover to cover. You're going to thank yourself later. And again, if you're a songwriter and you've released music or if you play music live, yeah, I think it's worth it to sign up for a PRO like BMI, especially one that lets you submit songs that you play at your own shows for money. I have friends who've made, it's incremental revenue for a songwriter. Is it going to be your biggest source of income? Probably not unless like you get a song that gets played at Knicks games all the time. Or if you have even if you're at that level of famous, like that's not going to be your biggest source of revenue, probably not. But it's money that you're leaving on the table if you don't have a PRO. I have friends who have made $2,000 in a year from their PROs. That's like $6 or $7 a day, I think. So again, like that, it's a couple months of rent for a lot of people. Check it out, try it out. If you know anybody at SAC, I do. It's nothing I can do anything about. I'm kind of mad about it. Who gets dropped from their PROs? That literally doesn't happen. So BMI and ASCAP are not going to drop you. SAC might. They're a private for-profit organization. They can do whatever the hell they want. If they want to drop me, they're going to drop me. I cried a little. I'm feeling better now. But I mean, they literally dropped, I'm just gonna say this, they dropped me 2 days before Thanksgiving and 3 days before my band got featured on All Songs Considered, and like 2 months before I'm probably in a document, a major, like an actually commercially released documentary. So it's just, in the end, that just is kind of funny, right? Well, anyway, big thanks to DistroKid. That reminds me, DistroKid does not collect PRO money, but they do collect royalties. I feel like I need to mention there are a few different kinds of royalties, and royalties are payments you get from your work. Basically, PROs pay you for your performance royalties, and then DistroKid pays you, I think that might be considered mechanical royalties. And a mechanical royalty is just a payment you get per song sold or streamed. So if you sell a song, if you like someone buys a song you wrote on iTunes for 99 cents, you get 9.1 cents of that for your mechanical royalties as a songwriter. If you solely wrote the song. If you wrote the song with somebody else, you split that 9.1 cents. That one's kind of simple, so that's that. So, hey, I've talked about 2 kinds of royalties. I think I talked about 3 kinds of royalties because I briefly mentioned synchronization licenses. Nerd stuff that I find very interesting. I hope you found this video interesting. I know it was long. Thanks to DistroKid for sponsoring this content. I really love their product. I love the way that they support artists. I feel like and this is me speaking from the heart, like I felt this way about DistroKid since before they sponsored. I used to be with another online distribution company, and they charged me closer to $60 a year. I felt like I was getting fleeced. I make about $60 in mechanicals a year, technically in sales and royalties for stuff. So I was basically bottoming out on what I could do, and they didn't have like nearly the features that DistroKid has. Like, just, yeah, I'm really, really so happy I switched to DistroKid. I'm happy it was as easy as it was with music I'd already released. So big ups to DistroKid for sponsoring this video, sponsoring the podcast. There's a podcast. You should listen to it, check it out. There's also a video version of it. And for supporting artists around the world, really. Like, yeah, big ups. So thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Once again, my name is Emily, and I need to fix my camera mount situation. Look how bouncy it is. Goodbye.